I'm a physique transformation specialist and spent the last 10 years in the fitness industry and got some of the greatest natural transformations anyone's seen. I'll put some of them along here so you know I'm not chatting shit and you can trust my word. I've done almost every possible fucking course you can think of, the university degrees, the BTECs, all the shitty little ones, and every bodybuilding course, just because I love bodybuilding, I love physique development, and I love being good at what I do. And I wanted to create this video because I know a lot of people struggle for adherence, and I know a lot of people think that training in the morning is bad. And to put things in perspective, so this is the physique I achieved myself, all while training in the morning. There's a lot of shit in the fitness industry around how training in the morning is bad, you're losing gains, you're leaving progress on the table, and all of this kind of stuff. So I wanted to create this video on how to structure your morning routine to be strong as fuck, to still be able to progress within your lifts and smash your morning sessions. Firstly, training in the morning from an adherence standpoint works out better for almost every single client that I've ever worked with. You know, not to say if you've got the perfect evening routine, stick at that. But for those who have a busy life, maybe they've got kids, maybe they work long hours, training first thing in the morning means that regardless of your commitments after, you know, if you get kept behind late at work, if a family member needs you, some plans come up, regardless of all of that, you've already hit your session. So all the guys who are like CEOs, work crazy long hours, they hit morning sessions. So they know that first hour of the morning, they get their training done, they're done for the day. And the best thing about it is when you train in the morning, you forget you've even been to the gym. You forget that you've got it done. You've ticked that fucking box. It's done. By the time you get to work, it's like, oh shit, yeah, I forgot I went to the gym this morning. I always say adherence over optimal. You can turn this into an optimal session, and this is how we're going to do it. So I'm going to speak you through my morning routine. I'm going to be looking down because I've got my notes here so that I don't fuck up my words. That come out recently showing that carbs before you train are essentially a placebo. There was two groups, one group training with carbs before and then one group training without, and there was no progress within lifts. Like there was no improvement. So despite the fact I've seen that research and seen that data, I've tried it myself, and as much as I read into studies, like you can't argue with data. However, subjective data is massively important. I know the difference between me training fasted compared to me with a shit ton of carbohydrates in the system. So I structure almost all of my carbs around my training. So I wake up, so this is me to get into the gym at 6 a.m. Of course, adapt this to your lifestyle. So I wake up at 4:45. When I wake up, I get my EAA and my electrolytes in. Do you need electrolytes? No. If you're having enough water across the day, you're having your salts, you don't need them unless you're sweating a shit ton. The reason I do is because I'm trying to get to the gym for 6 a.m. At 4:45, I'm going to have to drink a lot of fucking water on top of all the food that I'm trying to get in. So electrolytes mean I can rehydrate myself a lot quicker. So 4:45, we'll get the EAA and electrolytes in. Around 4:55, I have my breakfast, which is oats, dark chocolate, blueberries and protein powder. The best meal on the planet. You know, if you don't like this meal, you're making it wrong. It's unbelievable. So with this meal here, I have a big portion of oats. Like I have 150 gram, which is a lot, but it's going to depend on your macronutrient. But I like to structure a majority of my carbs around training. I focus well throughout the day when it's mainly proteins and fat. So that is my breakfast, my meal number one. After I consume that meal, I go on a walk to help with digestion. So literally is a 10 to 15 minute walk. On this walk, I'll listen to a podcast. I usually listen to Alex Hormozi because if you go on to his Spotify, he's got these 10 to 15 minute long podcasts where you can get a shit ton of information in just in a short walk. There's also 20-minute books, which just summarizes a book within 20 minutes. They're really good for these walks. Once I get back around 5:25, I have cream of rice. The reason I love cream of rice is it is the easiest way to get 100 grams of carbs in. It really is. It goes down you so easy. It's so easily digestible. After I've eaten oats, I'm not very hungry. So getting cream of rice in, it goes down so fucking easy. It's an absolute joke. I'm not a massive fan of going for these things heavy in artificial sweeteners, going for these foods that I just essentially I prefer to stick to a whole food diet. However, this morning structure, the cream of rice is unbelievable to get your carbs in quick and easy. After my cream of rice, I get in my car and I drive to the gym. So while I'm driving to the gym, I consume either a coffee or an energy drink. So I've had enough time to get some hydration in. Ideally, you want to wait around 90 minutes before your adenosine system kicks in. But this sadly isn't the case for me. I can't physically do that unless I wanted to wake up a lot earlier. So I just don't do that. But yeah, it works fine for me. I don't have no crash throughout the day as long as I stay hydrated. So I get my caffeine in while I'm on the way to the gym. I get to the gym at 6 a.m. So by the time I've got to the gym, I've hydrated, diet. I've had 150 gram of oats in the system, 100+ gram of cream of rice, my dark chocolate, my blueberries. So I'm full of carbs, like literally a shit ton of carbs. I train, and then at 6:30 I have my intro workout. It's really fucking handy. So for myself, I really struggle with my biceps and my delts. They're my lacking muscle groups. Naturally, I train them, obviously the bigger muscle groups first, so the smaller muscle groups do come towards the end. I know some people like to structure this differently in case you do have lagging muscle groups, but I do prefer to have my heavy movements to begin with. So halfway through my session, I have my intro workout. I get the Trained by JP Pina Colada. Flavors okay, like nothing special. Again, this isn't like a sponsorship, sadly, but I have that halfway through my workout, and I've found that it increases my rep ranges. Again, it's been really interesting because of the data recently has shown that these carbs apparently have no effect. However, I notice it, like my data shows it, and that's why subjective data is so important. And then by 7 a.m. I'm done. So this is a quick and easy way to get 300 grams of carbohydrates in the system before, you know, when you're fucking half awake essentially. And if you can get that routine unlocked, it makes life so much easier. Your session is done by 7 a.m. You've got a decent amount of macronutrients in your session, gets smashed. And the best thing is, for the rest of the day, you forget that you've trained. You don't have to worry about that. That box is ticked. You've already done the hardest thing of the day. Every other task feels easier. Who do you think is going to be more productive? Who do you think is going to achieve more? The guy who spends his morning scrolling social media, checking his inbox, texting people, doing all of this sort of shit, or the guy who gets up early, smashes his gym session, you know, gets them endorphins for the day, does the hard fucking thing? Life becomes a whole lot easier when you make it harder for yourself. To finish my videos talking to those who are in a dark place, just in case I've got anyone here who's in a vulnerable situation, because I know, like, if a video ever caught me off guard like this with just some wisdom, it always really helped me, and it was always greatly appreciated. But if you're going through hard times at the moment, I promise you life will always get better. If you look at your current circumstances and you cannot even imagine how they're going to get better, it feels almost impossible. If you go into every single day with a little bit of faith, you know, a little bit of positivity and a little bit of hope for the future, I promise you things will get better. If you give your absolute everything regardless, I promise you things will get better. My DMs are always open. Always feel free to drop me a message. Thank you for watching the video. Please like, subscribe, and whatever else.